In the quiet suburb of Maple Grove, the morning sun filters through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the streets. David Keller, a 35-year-old software developer, wraps up another pressing deadline at work. Glancing at his watch, he realizes it's almost noon, perfect timing for a surprise lunch with his wife, MIA. David and MIA had been the epitome of suburban bliss. MIA, with her gentle demeanor and keen intellect, had recently started a small business as a German tutor, a venture that brought her joy and filled their home with eager students. David always admired how passionately she spoke of her lessons and the progress her students made. As he drives home, David rehearses a joke he knows will make her laugh, his mind far from the chaos of code and software issues. He parks his car in the driveway, noting with surprise the presence of another car, sleek and unfamiliar. Probably one of Mia's adult students, he thinks, dismissing the flicker of curiosity. Inside, the house is unusually quiet. No sound of Mia's laughter or her melodious voice explaining German syntax. David's heart thrums with a blend of excitement and an unexplained nervousness as he hangs his coat. He calls out, MIA, but receives no answer. The silence nudges his instincts awake, a whisper of something amiss. He walks toward the living room, then pauses. Laughter floats down the hallway, not Mia's. His steps slow, a cold prickle running down his spine. The laughter grows clearer, more distinct, a man's laugh, rich and warm. Confusion twists in his gut as he approaches the slightly ajar door to Mia's study, the room she had lovingly turned into a classroom. David pushes the door, and the scene before him freezes his breath. MIA, with her blouse undone, her head thrown back in a laugh he's never heard, looks up in shock. Beside her, a tall man with striking blue eyes, his face flushed with more than just scholarly enthusiasm, snaps his gaze to David. The textbook on the floor, the scattered papers, they tell a story far different from German tutoring. David! This isn't, MIA starts, her voice a mix of panic and fear. But David doesn't hear her over the roar in his ears. Betrayal slices through him sharper than any blade could. He had loved her, trusted her, and she had brought a stranger into their home, to their very sanctuary of love and commitment. How long, MIA? His voice is eerily calm, belying the storm raging inside him. The man stands, adjusting his shirt, his eyes wary. Look, I think I should. No, stay. Enjoy the show. It's free. David's words are acid, his gaze flitting between the man and MIA. The room feels smaller, suffocating. Mia's eyes are wide, her mouth moves, but no sound comes out. I'm sorry, David. It was a mistake, MIA reaches out, but David steps back as if burned. A mistake repeated is a choice, MIA. You made your choice. The coldness in his own voice surprises him. David leaves the room, each step away from the study a step away from the life he thought he had. His mind races, already plotting, planning. He would not let this betrayal go unanswered. MIA and her lover would learn that David Keller was not a man to be crossed lightly. As he slams the front door behind him, the last shred of his old life falls away, and a new, darker path opens before him. This was just the beginning. David sits in his car, parked just around the corner from his own house, his hands trembling on the steering wheel. His mind is a tumult of rage and disbelief, replaying the scene over and over. Mia's betrayal burns in his chest, a fire he can't quench with mere disbelief or sadness. It demands action, retribution. His phone vibrates incessantly beside him, calls from MIA, no doubt. He glares at the screen, each buzz a needle in his side. Ignoring the calls, he opens his laptop and begins to type with a purpose. Information, addresses, social media accounts, anything he can use against MIA and her lover, whose name he now remembers from one of her stories about her students, Marcus. David's skills as a software developer come in handy as he navigates through the digital world with precision. Within an hour, he has everything he needs. Marcus turns out to be a local business owner, a fact that brings a sinister smile to David's face. His plan begins to take shape, dark and unforgiving. That evening, under the veil of dusk, David drives to Marcus's shop, a trendy boutique in the heart of downtown. He waits until the lights go out and the last employee leaves. Ensuring he's unseen, he approaches the back door, a slim gym tool in hand, a relic from his reckless teenage years. The lock gives way with a satisfying click, and he slips inside. The shop is quiet, save for the hum of the refrigerator in the corner. David moves quickly, planting a small package inside, the kind that would bring any business to its knees if discovered during a routine inspection. As he exits, he wipes down any surfaces he might have touched, his every move calculated and precise. Back in his car, David doesn't feel the triumph he expected. The plan is in motion, but there is no joy in this kind of victory. It's empty, hollow, yet necessary. He starts the engine and drives away, the boutique disappearing in his rearview mirror. The next morning, David sits in a coffee shop across from Marcus's boutique. He watches as the morning bustle turns into chaos when 2 police cars and a fire truck pull up. Officers and firefighters swarm inside. Marcus arrives, his face crumpled in confusion and fear as he talks to the officers. David sips his coffee, the bitter taste matching his mood. His phone vibrates again. This time, he answers. "David, please, let's talk about this." "We can fix it," MIA pleads, her voice cracking. "There's nothing to fix, MIA. You broke everything," David responds coldly, his eyes never leaving the scene across the street. "But I love you." "Love?" David cuts her off, a harsh laugh escaping him. "Love doesn't betray, MIA. Love doesn't lie. What you had for me was not love. And now, you'll see what your actions have caused. Goodbye, MIA." He hangs up and watches as Marcus is led away in handcuffs, the realization of his influence washing over him. But the satisfaction is fleeting, replaced by a gnawing emptiness. Revenge has a price, and David is just beginning to pay it. He leaves the coffee shop, his heart heavier than when he entered. Retribution has a path of its own, and David knows this is far from over. As he drives away, his mind races with plans, each darker than the last. The battle lines are drawn, and there is no turning back. As the day bleeds into night, David sits in the dim glow of his computer screen, his mind racing with what's next. The silence of his now solitary home amplifies each click of the keyboard. He's no longer just a betrayed husband, he's a man on a mission, driven by a cold fury that seems to seep into his very bones. His next move needs to be decisive, a blow that MIA cannot ignore. David thinks of the savings account they had together, the funds MIA hoped to invest in expanding her tutoring business. With access to all their financial details, he logs into the online banking platform. His fingers hover over the keyboard before he makes the transfer. Within moments, he redirects the funds to multiple charities. It's legal, but he knows it will cripple her plans. The confirmation emails ping one after another. He leans back, a grim satisfaction settling over him. But it's not enough, not yet. His phone buzzes, a number he doesn't recognize. He answers with a cautious, "Hello? David Keller?" The voice is deep, measured. "Yes." "Who is this?" "I'm Detective Ramirez. I'm calling about Marcus Leitner. I understand you might have information that could help with an ongoing investigation." David pauses, his mind whirling. This could be an opportunity, or it could backfire spectacularly. Treading carefully, he responds, "Yes, detective. I might. Marcus is involved with my wife." "I see," Ramirez says, a note of understanding in his tone. "Could we meet tomorrow? Your information could be very valuable." Of course, David agrees, his mind already racing with the possibilities this new connection could offer. The next morning, David meets Detective Ramirez at a local diner, an old-fashioned place with checkered tablecloths and the smell of coffee in the air. Ramirez, a stocky man with sharp eyes, greets him with a firm handshake. They sit in a quiet corner, away from the few early customers. "I'm listening, Mr. Keller," Ramirez says after they order coffee. David recounts his discovery of the affair, careful to frame his narrative with just enough emotion to seem a victim, not a vigilante. I believe Marcus was manipulating MIA. And I found something off at his boutique. I think he's involved in something illegal. Ramirez's eyes narrow slightly. What kind of illegal? With access to all their David lies smoothly. But I think it's worth looking into. I can give you access to emails between him and MIA. Maybe you'll find something there. Thank you, Mr. Keller. I appreciate your help. We're looking into several angles on Marcus, and this could help broaden our investigation, Ramirez says, jotting down notes. As David leaves the diner, he feels the weight of the detective's gaze on his back. The game is more dangerous now, involving the police, but David is too far in to back out. Driving back home, he reflects on his next steps. His life with MIA is over, but the battle is just heating up. He needs to stay one step ahead, not just to punish MIA and Marcus, but to protect himself. As he pulls into his driveway, the reality of his solitude hits him. The house feels emptier than before, each room echoing with memories he'd rather forget. He resolves to delve deeper, to find out more about Marcus's illegal activities. If he can link them to MIA, perhaps he can end this once and for all. But in the darkening twilight, David feels the first twinge of doubt about the righteousness of his cause, and where this path might lead him. The cold morning air is thick with fog as David drives towards an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. He had discovered that Marcus had been using this place for illegal dealings, not just petty crimes, but involved in a larger network of black market goods. This information hadn't just been handed to him, he'd had to dig, to hack, to threaten. Today, it would all come to an end. David parks his car behind a row of dilapidated trucks and kills the engine. He checks his watch, 3 a.m., the time he knew from intercepted messages that Marcus would be here. His hand grips the revolver in his pocket, a heavy weight against his thigh. He hadn't planned on using it, but plans change. He moves silently, using the fog as cover, approaching the shadowy figures of two men unloading crates from a truck. One of them is unmistakably Marcus. David feels a surge of adrenaline as he steps closer, the gravel crunching softly under his boots. Marcus! David's voice cuts through the mist, hard and commanding. Marcus turns, startled, his accomplice reaching into his jacket. David doesn't hesitate, he raises his gun and fires 2 warning shots into the air. The second man freezes, hands raised. What the hell, David? Are you insane? Marcus shouts, anger and fear mingling in his eyes. No, Marcus. Just enlightened, David replies coldly. I know about everything. And I'm not the only one. The police are on their way. Marcus pales, his eyes darting towards the crates. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, David interrupts. You used my wife, my home. And for what? This? He gestures disdainfully at the crates. You're wrong, David. MIA, she didn't know about this. I swear to you, Marcus pleads, his voice cracking. Save it for the police, David says, stepping back as he hears the distant sirens. As the police cars pull up, David watches, feeling a hollow victory. Marcus and his associate are handcuffed and led away. But there's no satisfaction in this justice, not really. Driving back, David's mind is turbulent. MIA had called him numerous times, each call ignored. But now, he dials her number, needing to hear her voice, to confront her one last time. MIA, he starts, the moment she answers, it's over. Marcus is arrested. Tell me the truth. Were you involved? Mia's voice is weary, resigned. I wasn't, David. I didn't know about any of it. I swear. Marcus kept it all from me. My only mistake was falling for him. I never meant to hurt you. David pauses at a red light, the early morning silence enveloping him. I wanted to destroy you both, he confesses. I thought it would make me feel better. But it doesn't. There's a long silence, filled only by the distant hum of the city waking up. Where do we go from here? Mia's voice is barely a whisper. Nowhere, David replies. We go nowhere. I can't forgive your betrayal, Mia. I never will. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Goodbye. As he hangs up, a tear rolls down his cheek, the first he's allowed himself since that day. The sun breaks through the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city. David drives towards it, the light blinding but warm, the city ahead full of unknowns. He doesn't look back.